Welcome to Programming Knowledge. We are going to develop a daily task manager application, and that is rather a very simple application, and that will mark the end of this series. So let's start. First of all, I'll delete all the extra things I had. Let's get this project back as it was when we first created it. So I'll remove all these things. Okay, save it. In main also I'll remove all the code. Let's code it from scratch. And I also need to remove the assets folder. And along with that I would also need to comment this out. And so I did. Okay, so now over here you can see we are getting an error, and this error generally happens because when we delete some file while the project is running. So I'll comment this out first and then restart the app. So run without debugging it is. Now let's start. I'll first create a folder that will be screens, and then in the screens we'll first have a home screen dot. Now let's first of all import material. That is the most important thing. Then we'll first start with a stateless widget, and we'll convert it to a stateful widget if needed. So here is the home screen. Okay, now it will have a root name that is like in the boiler code. So static const root name, and that is home screen. And now in my main.dart I'll import it. That is like writing the code that I have just commented, that I have just removed. So we'll always use relative referencing while importing any package. Screens and then home screen. Now over here the home will be home screen. Okay, so over here first we need to save this and then save this as well. So now over here it will be a scaffold, and then let's add a simple app bar. The app bar has a title that takes a text widget, and the text widget says task manager. Neat. Now in body, I don't think like right now we need to add any body. First we need to add the feature to create tasks, and then only we'll be able to show tasks, and showing tasks go in the home screen. So center simply a child with a text widget that says no tasks added yet. Cool. Now let's add the the button clicking on which we will be able to create a task. So the best option would be to create a floating action button. That will take a floating action button widget. I'm sorry. So this will take a floating action, and then over here the child will be an icon widget, and then over here we'll use the icons enum, and then the add button, that is the plus sign. Okay, now I'll give this icon a color of white. Let's format this. Then after that we have the background color. So the color is, let's decide a theme. I am thinking we can go with yellow. You can try anything else of your choice. So this is yellow, and then this is showing yellow underline because the on pressed parameter is required. So let's add that on pressed, and for now simply print fab pressed. Let's format this hot, restart this. Cool. And it is giving us an error. Null check operator used a null value in main line 8. Well, this seems fine to me. I don't know where the error actually is. Well, that was not an error, that was just some kind of a lapse that happened in the app. Okay, so right now I'll remove the debug banner, debug show checked banner, that is false. Let's save this. Now my app bars, or let's make the entire theme blue, that will be easier because the default theme of Flutter is blue. So colors blue. Let's save this, and now if I click on this, the on pressed method is working fine. Now what we want to do here is that whenever we click on that button, it opens a new screen, and over there we add the task. Or what would be better is that instead of opening a new screen, we can open a bottom sheet. Okay, since the last video was on bottom sheets, it makes complete sense that we use bottom sheet instead of a new screen. But if you want, you can use a new screen also. That is, there is no such kind of design technique or rule that restricts from using a new screen. Okay, so I'll simply write show modal bottom sheet. Now it needs a context. The context is context, and then it has a builder. Every builder always has a build context. And for now, I'm sorry, I was coding in JavaScript last night, and for now let's simply return a container. Okay, a container of height, let's say 500, and color, let's say colors dot blue. Cool. Let's save this, and now if I click on this, I am able to see a bottom sheet. So let's not decide its height. Let's create the child, and child will of course be a column because we are gonna add things one after another. Then it has a children. The first one will be text that says add a task. Add task. Now it is looking very weird. I'll maybe reduce the background color little bit. Let's see, maybe little bit more. Okay, it looks better than what it was earlier. We'll of course be changing designs later. Okay, so let's add some style. Now I was thinking let's add a custom font. So for that I'll go to fontsgoogle.com and decide a font, and in the meantime I'll search for Google fonts Flutter. This is a package using which we can use all the fonts that are available on Google Fonts. So either you can go in the installing section, copy and paste, or there is a shortcut. You simply click on this, and then in your pubspec.yaml you have to paste it below Cupertino icons. I paste it and I saved it. Remove this for now. So now let's fix on a font, and maybe we can go with, I think we should go with Montserrat. Okay, so let's start adding the text. All the text in this app will be in Montserrat font. Okay, so let's wait for this Flutter pub-get to complete. Okay, so it is. Now I'll add the import Google Fonts. Now the first text we can see over here, the spelling is wrong as well. Task. Now in style we simply write Google Fonts dot Montserrat. So now since we don't have any configuration to add inside, we'll leave it like this, formatted. Now over here also I'll add style Google Fonts dot Montserrat, and then over here I'll change the color. I want the color to be white and the size to be 20. Let's see. Now let's save this. Now after that, over here we can see the font has changed to Lato. Okay, and over here also this font is also Lato. Now we also have our text in center. We'll change that later. Okay, so the first text is add task. Now after that I believe that this add task should be over here, and a cross button over here, which when we click on this modal sheet should close. However, it will close if you click anywhere else than the modal sheet. Okay, so let's do that. I'll wrap this text inside a row. Okay, and then I'll give the main axis alignment as space between. Neat. Now after that I'll have a icon. The icon will be from the icons enum, and the name is icons close, that is the cross sign. Okay, so now this is done. Now I'll add a gesture detector upon it, wrap with a widget, and that is gesture detector. So now this gesture detector widget, it gives you the triggers for all the gestures that we do on a screen, that is a single tap, a double tap, a triple tap, a long tap, a double long tap, and all those things. Okay, so for now I'll use on tap. Now over here it should simply close the modal sheet, and for that we simply write navigator.pop, navigator dot off context, what's happened, dot pop. Cool. Now you might be thinking, why didn't I use an icon button over here? So that is because icon button comes with a inbuilt padding that we explicitly have to remove, and that will be actually 4 lines of code, and over here it is only 2 lines of code. So this is the better choice. Less lines of code means a better code. So now we have it here and this, but we definitely need some padding over here. So this container over here, the main container, the parent container, will have a padding, and then we should always write const before padding or margin. I have already discussed about it. You can look to the previous videos. Edge insets dot all, sorry, not 100.0 but 10.0. let's save this. Now first I need to close this, open again, and then it has a padding, a decent padding, and that is it. Now after row we can add a divider. Now let's save this, and we should be able to see our divider. And we have our divider. If you look very closely, I'll change that. So the width, or we have something like that. To see all the available parameters, you can simply click on control space, and then over here, yes, we have height, so I'll make it 1.2 just for testing. Let's see how it looks. And this has become, we'll have make it 10, let's see. And damn, it's not changing. Okay, so that is not height. We need to change the thickness. I am sorry. This kind of stuffs generally happen when you develop something. There are plenty of widgets and you often get confused. So there is no, this is not such that bad a thing. Okay, so now it is a bit thicker and this looks fine. I will be after subsequently upgrading the UIs and discussing it with you. For now this will do. Now I don't need a comma here since we only have one parameter inside that. So that is the basic, that is a good practice actually, that if you have a single parameter you don't give a comma. If you have any number of parameters which are more than one, you do give a comma. Okay, so this is done. Now after that I'll leave some space, sized box. Okay, and the space will be of, let's say, 20. Now after that I'll have a text field. Okay, let's see. So we have a text field over here, but it looks very weird. Okay, so let's design this. So it also takes a decoration. That decoration takes an input decoration. Now first for the border I'll use an outline input border. Okay, now this outline input border has a few things. Border radius, that is the curve around the corners. So for that we have another widget, border radius dot circular, and simply 5.0 would do. Now after that we have border side, means that over here in outline input border we give one border sides, and that is copied for all the 4 borders of a input field. So simply border side, and the borders color will be colors dot blue. Cool, let's see. So we have the border over here. Now let's add a white color in between. Okay, so that is the fill color, and the color needs to be white, and filled should be true for the fill color to show. I think it's filled, yes, true. It was going to become true. Let's save this, and after that, so it is white in between. Now let's add a hint. So the hint text takes a string or a text widget, and it takes a string. Enter task, and then again we have a hint style, and the hint style will go with Google Fonts dot Montserrat. Okay, now let this red line go. Actually it in real time connects with the internet. That is what I am guessing for such kind of behavior. I am not sure about it. Let's save this anyhow. Okay, I don't know why it is acting weird. Let's give it a minute. Oh, sorry, the spelling is wrong. Google Fonts, I'm extremely sorry. The spelling was wrong and I thought it is some kind of a weird issue. So this is also not that bad a thing. Okay, so hint style, and that is simple Lato. Now I can add some task. I can write the task over here. Now we need to have a complete button. So instead of having a single complete button, I'll have two buttons. One is the reset button and the other one is the add button. That means add this task today, for today. Okay, so below this text field I'll have a row. Okay, the rows children, there are two children. That is, sorry, we don't have simple button, we have raised button. Now the child is text reset with a style of Google Fonts dot Montserrat. Sorry, we need to give parentheses after that. And we have on pressed, and this on pressed for now will simply print reset pressed. Now let's format this. Now I'll have another button like this. So instead of copying, I'll click shift option and arrow key down, so then it gets copied. Save. Now over here instead of reset it will be add, and over here also it will be add. Let's save this. See, and it looks completely atrocious. So we need to fix that. Sized box, a height of 20 would do. Now let's fix this. So how do we fix this? Well, there are two methods, I'll say. First I'll wrap this with a sized box, and the sized box will have a width that is the entire width. Media query dot of context dot size dot width, and height of, let's say for now, 200. We'll definitely reduce it to as much as it is required. Okay, so now this raised button goes inside a container. Okay, the container has a width of media query dot of context dot size dot width divided by 2, means half the screen size, and then this entire thing minus 10, that will be added for the padding. The padding will be 5 because 10 divided by 2 for both the sides, minus 10. Okay, so this is fine. Now same I'll do for here, wrap with a container. The container has a width of this. Cool. Now in this raised button, let's add a background color, or we simply call it color. Colors dot blue, and here it should be color is colors dot white. Now let's see what is left. Instead of sized box, we'll have a container, and then this container will have a padding from all the sides, padding of not size, padding of const edge insets dot symmetric horizontal, and that is 10.0. Let's see if it gives us some overflow errors or what. And yes, it does. So the size of these buttons are apparently big, and they are big by 20 pixels as I guessed. My calculation was little bit wrong. This should be 5. Okay, and now let's see. So still the error is there, but it has reduced. So better we make it 20 for both. Save, and then this is fine. Now you open the mobile on any screen. Now you open, sorry, not the mobile, you open the app on any screen size. This will look same because we are using dynamic width over here. Okay, so now I don't think this 20 needs to be there. It should be a mere 8. Okay, I don't know why it is not changing. Oh, because the height is 200, which is not at all required. I don't think we need a height at all. Let's save and see. Yes, so this looks fine. When I click on reset is pressed. When I click on add is pressed. Now I don't need this height also over here. So where we started the model sheet, this is okay. So the height was commented. That means this is the default height. Now I am gonna force some height to it. That is gonna be 300. Let's see. And 300 is also more than required. I'll make it 250. Now let's see. So this looks good. Now apparently there is a better color for the background than the color it is right now. We will discuss that later. For now, our adding a task UI is complete. So until the previous video, we have created the basic structure and we have created the UI of the bottom sheet. So let's continue. Now the first thing that we need to do is add a text controller to this text field and add functionalities to this button. So for that I'll need to initialize the text editing controller inside init state and then dispose it in the dispose method, and all those methods are available only in stateful widget. So I'll change this stateless widget to a stateful widget. Now I'll declare the controller, so let's call it task controller. Now over here let's override the init state. Now over here we'll write task controller is equal to text editing controller, and now we also need to override the dispose method, and in the dispose method everything goes before this super statement as we have discussed in one of the previous videos. So over here we'll simply write a task controller dot dispose. Now once this is done, let's attach this text editing controller to our text field. Okay, so for that we need to look for the text field. Over here we'll add the named parameter controller, and that is our task controller. Okay, so now this controller is added. Now let's add functionality to this reset button. So over here it simply says print reset. Now instead of this I'll write a task controller dot text and then overwrite it to an empty string. Okay, so now this should reset the text field. Yes. So let's save this, do it a full restart so that the init state also gets executed. So now once it has restarted, if I click on this plus button, I am able to see the bottom sheet. Now if I write something, any scrambled text, and click on reset, the text is getting overridden with an empty string as we have done over here. Okay, so this button's functionality is done. Now let's talk about adding the task. So to add the task, we first need to store the task. Now generally there are two methods to store the task. First one is using database, and we have SQLite as the database, and the second method is using shared preferences. So now in this app the data will change every day, means the task for one day is written, and then by the end of the day the task gets over. Okay, so for that we don't need to go in the complex SQL systems. We can simply use the shared preferences. The memory of shared preference, the shared preference is stored inside the app. So ultimately the size of app will become large if we use a shared preference to store everything when the data to be stored is too big, and in those cases we use SQLite. But over here, since the data will only remain for a day and the next day it will be cleared or some other data will be added, so it is completely safe to use shared preferences over here. So for that we have a plugin, shared preferences. It is given by Flutter. So let's import it and then use it in our project. So in our pubspec.yaml below Google Fonts, I'll paste it, save it, and then wait for the pubget to finish. So once the pubget has finished, we can start using this shared preferences inside our project. So for that, first we need to import the shared preferences. So simply over here I'll write import shared preferences, and you can see it is not showing in the option. So that means there was some error in this pubget. We should call it again, most probably, then the error will not be there. This sometimes happens with VS Code. Once done, let's see if it comes now or not. Import shared preferences, so we can see shared preferences dot. Now let's see how to use this. So for that, first thing you can see is we need to initialize the shared preference. So over here they have initialized using async await. If you don't wanna use async await, we can always use then method. Okay, so let's see. Now whenever this add is pressed, I'll call a method that is save data. Okay, now let's create this save data. Okay, so all the override statements are together, all the override methods are together. I'll create this method which is not overriding any method above them. So over here void save data, and then first we need to initialize the shared preferences. So shared preferences, I'll call it prefs. Now since we use await, we need to use async over here. Await shared preferences, sorry, not this. Over here also it will be shared preferences, and over here also shared preferences dot get instance. So now once this statement is executed, we have our instance of shared preferences in this variable. So now let's save the data. So for saving, let's the most probable or the most standard practice would be to create a model class and then save the object as JSON in this shared preferences, and then retrieve it from as JSON and then parse it to the model and then display. So we'll follow the same thing. Let's create a new folder, model, and then inside this folder we'll have task dot dart. So let's create class task. So now this will have the task, and will have the date. So there is a variable in dart called date time that deals with the date and time. So simply call the time. So this is done. Now let's create its constructor. So task, this dot task, and this dot time. So now let's create another constructor. So there are two methods, one that I have discussed in one of my videos, that is called named constructor, that is task dot from JSON or something like that. So that is one method. There is another method that is using the factory keyword, factory task dot from map. And now over here we take a map, or we don't take a map, we don't actually need a map, we just need the task. So let's call it from string, and then over here we take a parameter string task. And now like before, when we were using named parameter task dot from string without this factory, then we would have simply written this dot task is equal to this task, and this dot time is equal to date time dot now. But since we are using the factory one, we'll return, we need to have a return statement, and then ultimately we'll be returning this constructor. So I'll write return task, and then over here I need to call the named parameters, that is a task, and task is nothing but the task parameter that we get over here. And then we have the time, time is nothing but a date time dot now. Okay, so this is done. Now by this by calling this method, we can create a object of this class task. Now to store it in shared preferences, we directly can't store a model class as it is not serializable. So instead we'll store it as a JSON object, or most probably a map, that is also a JSON type of thing. Just there is a flexibility to add commas at the end if we want, which we don't have in JSON. So that is only the difference between JSON and a map in Dart. So let's see. Now I want to return a map of string and dynamic, and that is return no, sorry, not return. That this method can be called getMap. Okay, and then over here you return a map that has a name as task, and the task is this dot task, and then we need the time. Now there are, we simply can't send this date time object, as that is again another object that can't be serialized. So we have another parameter that is called milliseconds since epoch. So epoch is a constant time, and the difference from that till this variable, till the time that is stored in this variable is measured and sent. And so this is two-way thing. If we have the difference, we can get the date time variable from now, and if we have the date time variable, we can get the milliseconds since epoch from that. There are milliseconds, there are microseconds, we can use whatever we want. So I'll simply use this dot time dot milliseconds since epoch. So now by this I'll return this thing, and now I also need another method so that it will take this map and then parse it to a task object. Over here we are parsing it from a string. Now we need to parse it from a map. So task dot from map, and we need a map of type string and dynamic, and let's call this map. So over here I'll get the map from map task, and the time will be date time dot from milliseconds, milliseconds since epoch, and then the time is map time. So as I told earlier, this is a two-way process. We can get the milliseconds since epoch from the time, and we can get the date time from the value of milliseconds since epoch. So milliseconds since epoch, this variable is independent of the time zone. You can read more about it if you want, if you like. So now I think the model class is ready. Now let's get back over here. First let's import this model class. Import. Now whenever we are importing some project file, we leave a line gap, and we use referential indexing. So double dots backslash, I can see model, and inside that I can see task dot dot. So this is the standard practice for importing. All the Flutter imports or the external package imports are together. One after leaving one line, we write all the project level imports, and if we have Dart level imports, we leave yet another line over here, and that goes at the top. So this is the standard practice that is followed, and we will follow the same. So now this save data, let's create an object. So I'll call it task t is equal to task dot from string, and then the string is task controller dot text. Okay, so this dot text returns whatever value is in this text editing controller. So now we have our task over here. Let's save it in the shared preferences. So for that, over here I'll write prefs dot put string, okay, I don't know it is put string or set string. I think it was a set string. Yes, so it is a set string, and then the key is task, I guess. Okay, and then we need to give the value. So this we have a set string, so we need to convert the value to string. So for that I'll use a Dart package, and as I told, it will go at the top. Import dot convert. So now we have JSON. This JSON keyword is inside this convert package JSON.encode. So over here you can see it takes a object of type dynamic and encodes it to a string. So JSON.encode, and then over here we will give the map. So t.getMap. Cool. So now we have saved the data. Now once this is saved, we can close the bottom sheet if we want. So let's see if it is saved or not. Also, we can't possibly see it is saved or not. We can see if there is some errors or not. We'll see if this is saved or not after this, most probably in the next video. So let's see, enter some task, demo task 1, and click on add. Unhandled exception, missing plugin exception. So you can see, so this means that this shared preference is not found in the project, and that is because we have added this shared preference while the project was debugging. So the shared preference is added to the project, but it has not been transferred to our mobile or the emulator that we use. So let's close this and start it again. Run without debugging. Select Dart and Flutter. Now over here we can do one more thing, that as soon as this task is created, we empty the text controller. So I'll write task controller. Oh, I'm sorry, the spelling's wrong. Task controller dot text, and we force it to an empty string. So now if you would remember, this underscore before any variable name makes the variable private. Okay, and if we don't give an underscore, then by default it is public. So that was another thing that we have discussed in the starting of this series. Now let's wait for the build to finish and then let's see. So now the build is finished. Let's save this change that we made over here. Now let's add a task, demo task 1, and if I click on add, the text is getting removed, and you can see there is no change in the console, but along with that there is no error as well. So in the previous video we were saving the task. Okay, so now there was an error that I made. So over here, while we are saving, you can see that in the preferences I have given it a key of task. So every time I add a new task, this same task key is given to that task, and hence the value which was stored prior to execution of this statement gets removed. So ultimately what will happen, that in our shared preferences we will only have the task that we saved the last. So that would be an error. So let's fix that. So instead of adding task, let's first try to get the task. Then we will convert the task into a list of tasks, and then we will store it. And then after that, every time we add something, we will retrieve the list, we will add the item to the list, and then we'll again save it to the shared preferences. So let's get the first let's clear everything. Prefs dot remove, and the key is task. So now for now nothing much will happen, but during the last video we have executed this code. So right now in our system we actually have preferences with the key named as task, and it has some value. So let's first remove that before we start coding. Okay, so I'll save this, and then over here I'll write something gibberish, then click on add. Now I'll click a few times just to confirm, So now we don't have anything in our shared preferences, so let's start coding the process in which we are planning to save the task. So first we will get all the tasks. So prefs dot get, I don't know, it was get or yes, it was get string, I'm sorry, get string, and the string is task. Okay, and then when we get this, okay, sorry, this is not a future, this returns a simple string, so we'll get a string over here, string tasks, and that is this prefs dot get string. Now after that, this task is in string format, we need to decode it back to JSON format, and from there we can again get it into a list of objects, which we don't need right now, we will probably do that later. Okay, so JSON dot decode, and we have to decode tasks. Okay, now this also returns a dynamic value, so for now I'll store it in a list, and that is list, and I'll be storing everything in this list. Okay, so now since we have this list, let's try printing something, or maybe let's print this list. So right now it should be empty or something like that. So now once we have this list, we will add the new task in that. So list dot push okay, so we don't have it in list, it will simply have add. Then in JavaScript we have push. Okay, so now over here I'll simply add JSON encode t dot get map. Okay, and then again I'll encode it and save it. So prefs dot set string, and the string is stored in task, and the task is JSON dot encode, I'm sorry, JSON dot encode lists, sorry, it is list. Okay, so I hope everything is clear. We first retrieved all the tasks, we converted it into a list. Okay, and then in that list we added the last value, and then we stored it. So let's try running this and see. So I think it will crash for the first time, we'll have some bugs, we'll fix that on our way. So I click on add, and yes, it has an error. The getter length was called on. Okay, so if so we want to execute this only if tasks is not empty, so I'll use the null value operator, and then I'll initialize this. So now let's restart this, although this error should occur only for the first time, since then we didn't have anything here. Okay, so let's add some task, click on add, and again this error happened on line number 26. Okay, the getter length was called on null. Okay, so this instead of this entire thing, so we can't do it like this, because this entire thing, if this entire thing is null, then only this will work. But right now the situation over here is that this string is only empty. So for that we'll use our ternary operator, tasks equal to null. If the task is null, then we'll simply initialize it like this, else this, give a semicolon over here, Okay, now let's format this, save this, do a full restart. So restart is done. Now let's add some task, and then I click on add, and then for now we are getting this. And now if I click on this again, so now now the task was stored in the first time, and in the second time it is retrieved, and then so this print statement executes, and then this is printed on the console, and then after that again we get this task added in the list, and then we again store it in the shared preferences. So I hope these 5 lines are clear to you. Now if I click on this again, so some task will print, and then once again some task will be added. So 2 times it will print, and 3 times it will be in the shared preferences. So let's add something new. So if I click on add, so now over here you can see some task is at once it is added and twice it is added, and some task 2.0 will also be added, but it is not being displayed over here. So now if I make it 3, so now this means that some task 3.0 will be added to our preferences, and everything prior to that will be displayed. So let's see, and if I click on add, so I get some task 2.0, and then this 3.0 is also added, but since the print statement is before the adding thing there, so that is why it is not printed. Now I can make it in both ways. So now once before adding, once after adding, we can see everything. So now let's see print add. So now let's see the last one. We have some tasks, okay, sorry, I didn't save it, shit, extremely sorry. So I'll have to make it 5. So now yes, so let's see the last one. So now in the last time we added some task 5.0, so that is also printed, and prior to that we did 4.0, 3.0, 2.0, and 2 times some task. So everything is being stored in the shared preferences and decoded easily. Okay, so by this we complete the storing process. The storing process works fine now. So I'll remove this, and once it is stored, I also want to clear the text field and hide this bottom sheet. So for that I'll add another 2 lines. Task controller dot text is this, and then navigator dot off context dot pop. So now this is done. Let's format this. And save this. So now if I add some task 6.0, so that will be saved, and then this bottom sheet should close. So let's click on that, and you can see the bottom sheet is closed, some task 6.0 is added, and the text field is also empty. That means it is ready to store another task. So by this we complete the storing process. Let me add to the version control. So now once saving is done, we need to display the tasks over here. Okay, so for that, as soon as this screen opens, we need to retrieve all the tasks and then convert it into the task object that we have in this model package. Model package, sorry, not model, model package, and then we will create a widget, and that will display all the tasks. So let's start. In the init state method, I'll create a method get tasks. Okay, so now I need to create this method. So now again I'll call this shared preferences, make it async. Okay, then I'll get all the tasks over here. Now let's convert it into a list of type task. So for that I'll create a global variable over here, and that is tasks. Now I'll initialize it inside our init state, or in get tasks would also do, because that method is being called inside init state. So tasks I have initialized. Now let's add value to this task. So for I'll say a dynamic d in list, and then over here I'll add that dynamic d. So tasks dot add, and then over here it will be task dot from map and then d. So now all the tasks will be added. Let's simply print. So now actually over here we have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, in total 7 tasks. So this should print 7 items. So let's save this. And once saved, we need to do a full hot restart so that init state will be executed again. And once we do, we get a error over here, unhandled exception, type string, home screen 39. So I think there is some error over here. I'll initialize it as list of task. Okay, now if I do a full restart, I don't think the error should be here. So again it is showing some error. Okay, so over here it is a type string is not a subtype of map string dynamic. So over here I am guessing this from map takes a value of map string dynamic and is dynamic. So I don't know, let's convert it to type map dynamic. If I save this, full restart, and again it is still giving us an error. Let's go in the task. So in from map we take a map of type string dynamic. So I don't understand what is the error over here. We'll have to check the type. Okay, so let's convert it back to a dynamic, and over here I'll add a print statement, print d dot runtime type. We have a method like that which will print the data type during the runtime. Okay, so let's save this. Let's do a full restart. And so the error is that dynamic d is of type string. Okay. So I think what is happening is that there are two levels of encoding. First, the map is encoded to string, and then that string is added to a list, and then that list is encoded to a another string. So over here only one decoding is happening. So let's decode it once again. So like when we decoded the list, we got strings of uh, of the map that we were encoding over here, right? JSON encode list, JSON encode t dot get map. Okay, so this encoding is decoded over here. Now let's decode this encoding. Okay, so for that, over here I'll write JSON dot decode d, and we don't need this anymore. So let's save this and do a full restart, and I hope there is no error this time. And yes, there is no error. So the error was because we were encoding 2 times and decoding only 1 time. So now the error is fixed and we get all the instances 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. So we have 7 tasks. So now the retrieving is also kind of done. Now we just need to display it on the screen, and then add a ticker that will complete the task, and then as soon as the date changes, the previous task should get deleted automatically. So that is what we are going to do. So up until the previous video, we have created tasks, stored them, and also retrieved them. Now let's display them on the screen. Okay, so for that I'll remove this text that we have over here. Okay, so or better that instead of removing, I do conditional rendering. That means if this tasks is empty, then the center widget will be there, otherwise we will display some other widget. Okay, so if tasks is equal to null, that means we don't have any task, then this center widget seems appropriate. And if we have something, then let's display it. So for that I'll use a column. You can use a list view also. I feel more comfortable with column. So in column we have children. The children is task dot map dot to list. So we have already discussed this method in one of the video where we were discussing about columns. So for now let's return a container. Okay, now the container will have a height of, let's say, 70, and the width will be the entire width of the screen. Media query dot of context dot size dot width. Okay, don't know why it is yes, so the error is gone. Now along with this inside it will have a child, and the child will be a row, or for now just let it simply be the text, and the text is e dot task. Okay, so the task. Now let's format this, save this, and see how it appears. So we can see all the tasks and it looks pretty ugly. Let's add some decoration to it. So we'll call the decoration parameter, we'll have box decoration. Okay, now inside this we will first add the border radius. So border radius dot circular, and then from all sides I want it to be circular by 5 degrees, or Okay, and then let's add a border decoration style. So border, and the border we'll use the widget border.all, means that refers to all the sides. Now let's add color to this border. The color of border will be black, colors dot black, and it can be of width 0.5, let's say. Now let's format it, save it, and see how it looks. I hope it looks better. Okay, so it is looking better, but still it needs a lot more refining. Let's add margin. We always use const because we don't want this to re-render every time the set state method is called. Okay, because it is not necessary. So let's add a margin from all the sides to be 10 pixel. Okay, so it looks better. Maybe I can change this to symmetric, and horizontally we have 10 pixel of margin, but vertically I think only 5 will do. So let's see. Yes, this looks better. Now the text should be in center, so for that we have another widget, that is alignment, and then it also has an enum alignment dot center left. Okay, let's format this, save this. Okay, now let's add some padding over here. So for that I'll simply copy this. In VS Code we have a shortcut Shift, Option and down button, then the all selected things are copied just below it, and I'll change this to padding, and instead of symmetric it will be only, and this will be left. I'm sorry. And now since we have only one parameter, we don't need a comma, it can be a one-liner widget, and let's save this. And some padding is there. Okay, now I think we were using the font Montserrat over here. I think yes, so we are using Montserrat, so I need to add that over here as well. Style Google Fonts dot Montserrat. Okay, let's format this. Now let's save this, and the text is in the font of Montserrat. Okay, so now the basic UI is done. Now all we need to do is add a radio button over here, and as soon as it is ticked mark, instead of radio button we can use a checkbox. As soon as it is checked, we will remove this task item from here. Okay, and also from the shared preferences. So for that I need to wrap this text around a row. Okay, so like this. Let's save this. Now yes, so there is no change in UI, that's good. Now I'll add a checkbox. Okay, now this checkbox needs some parameter. For now I'll just give the required parameter because UI is my major concern. The parameter value is required, so let's add some value. For now all will be false, that means unchecked. Okay, let's see what else is required. Shit, I'll have to check it like this only. Might need to give it a key. Let's say the key takes a value of any type, so let's say a global key, and over here we can leave it like this. So let's format this, save this, it will show what is required or what not. Okay, so we have the checkbox over here. Now we want this to go over here. So for that we can either leave add a sized box in between, that is the inefficient method. The efficient method would be to change the alignment, main axis alignment, and the main axis alignment would be space between. So it will leave all the space possible in between the two items. Okay, so now you can see all are perfectly aligned to the right and all the tasks are perfectly aligned to the left. So with this we complete the UI. Now we'll add functionality in the coming parts. So let me add it to version control. So without further delay, let's get into it. So up until the last video we were able to save the tasks and also display it. Now let's proceed. So now while I was starting this project, I saw a error that when we first start this project the tasks don't appear. Okay, so they tend to be disappeared. So we are retrieving the task over here, but we are not able to see it on the screen. However, if I save the screen, that means set state is internally called and the build method is executed again, I am able to see all the tasks that were saved. So the problem over here is that we are retrieving the task, but after that we need to do a set state so that all the tasks are visible on the screen. So let's do that right away. Where we are getting all the tasks, over here we can simply say set state. So this is done. Now let's format this, save this, and now if I do a restart I should be able to see all the tasks. So as soon as the tasks are retrieved, it is displayed over here. So now let's actually try completing the task. Means if this task is completed, I click on this checkbox and this task gets removed from my task list. Okay, so for that first we need to create a list of boolean. Okay, that is tasks done. Now let's initialize it the same place where we get the tasks. So over here I'll call that method, call that variable, sorry, and then we have a special method in that is called list.generate. So what it basically does is it generates a list based on two parameters. First is the size of the list and second all the values that will be in that list. So the list of this task done should be equal to the task list. So I'll simply copy and paste dot length. And then over here we get index, and for each index I wanna return false. Means this task done will be a list of length this where each value is false. So now we have the list. Let's save this, and now let's come to our checkbox. So this checkbox needs another variable, another required parameter, that is on changed. Now this gives us a value, means that is the current value of this checkbox, true if it is ticked and false if it is not. Okay, so let's do this. So the value over here will be tasks done, and inside that the index will be the same index of E in this tasks list. So for that will simply use the index of method. In the tasks I wanna get the index of E. Simple. So now I get the index of E, and at that value what is the corresponding value in tasks done list, and when this is changed I'll change this value. So inside a set state is important, because if we check this then internally the value will change but it will not reflect on the screen. So that's why I'll put it inside a set state, and over here this will be equal to VL. Now let's format this. Now once done I'll save this also, and now since this method right now is null because this is called in get task and get task is called in its state, we need to do a full restart. So let's do that, and once it is done, okay, so they are little bit lagging. So once this is done, if I click on this I should be able to see the tick mark. Cool. So now let's do the save thing. Like that means that if I have done some task, this is some task is completed, so I check mark it. Some task 2.0 is also completed, so I check this also. Now I want to save this changes. That means when I open the task manager next time, so I don't wanna see these two tasks as I have already completed them. So for that we need a way to save the existing state of the application. So for that I am gonna add a save button over here. So let's do that. So for that, inside the app bar we have another parameter that is called actions. Okay, and that it takes a list of widget, means it a list of widgets that will be displayed here starting from right to left. So we just need one, and that is an icon button. Okay, now this icon button takes an icon, and the icon takes a icon widget. We use an icons enum, and then we have an icon called save. We can use that. Yes, so this will be the icon, and then we have a on pressed or on clicked. Yes, so we have on pressed over here. So for now simply print save is clicked. So once this is done, let's format this, save this. Now I am able to see the save button. If I click on this, save clicked is printed. Okay, so now let's actually save the remaining tasks and remove the ones which are checked. Okay, so for that I am gonna create a separate method. This update pending tasks list, and I'm gonna create a method over here with the same name. And now first we need this shared preferences thing, because we need to handle the preferences. Now a better method to handle shared preferences would be that we initialize it inside init state and make this prefs variable global, so that the same variable we can use in update pending task list method, get task method, and save data method. Okay, so that is a better approach. Now since we are using await, we need to add an async over here. Now let's create a list of task, that is the pending list. Now let's loop through all the tasks. So I'll write for var I is equal to 0, I is less than tasks dot length I plus plus. Now okay, I don't need a parenthesis. This is a one liner, so we don't need a parenthesis. If not tasks done is I, then we inside the pending list we add the task, so that is tasks I. So this is done. Now after execution of this statement, we get the pending list, that means all the tasks which are not checked. So then we finally save that in the shared preferences. So for that pending, we need to create a pending list encoded, and over here we again use the list dot generate, and the length will be pending list dot length. Okay, and then every time we return, let's make this I, every time we return JSON dot encode pending list I dot get map. So this is done. Now we need to save this encoded list, because when we are getting the task we are decoding it twice. So the first level of encoding is done over here. Now we'll do the second level of encoding. Prefs dot set string, and the string name should be exactly the same as we have over here, that is task, and the value is JSON dot encode pending list encoded. So now with this we remove the tasks which are marked check, and also save the remaining one. So after this we just need to call this method to get the fresh list of tasks and also display them. So with this, let's see if this works. I'm gonna do a full restart. Okay, so it has not restarted actually. Yes, so now it is done. Now if I check some task and some task 4.0, means that I have completed these two tasks, and then I save the state, so those two disappear, and then we have the remaining task. So with this we conclude the 99% part of the application, that we, and at the morning of the day we list all the tasks that we want to do, and but during the course of the day, as soon as we complete the task, we check them, save them, and then those tasks are gone. So this is what a basic daily task manager application should be. Now the next thing that we can do is to add a button at the bottom to clear all the tasks. Because suppose if you have some tasks and you are not able to complete it in the same day, or you completed them all and forgot to check mark them, so and then the next day comes, so over here we'll have a button that will simply remove all the tasks, and then you will get a fresh screen to start the other tasks or start your other day. So up until the last video we were able to create tasks, mark them as completed, and also save them. So now as we discussed in the previous video, that suppose if a person forgets to check all the things and the next day he wants to start fresh, means add a new tasks for that day. So it would be a better user experience if we have a button by which we can clear all the existing tasks at once. So let's do that. So for that, in the home screen, in the app bar, I'll add another icon button. So in VS Code we have a shortcut, shift command and arrow down, the exact thing gets copied below. And now instead of save, I'll add a delete icon. Okay, and then on pressed it simply prints press. Now let's save this, and we can see the delete button. Oh, by this I remember that in the previous video I said that it goes from right to left, which is wrong. I am sorry, it goes from left to right. And over here you could see that as soon as the list extended, the task manager which was in center is now at the left corner. So this happens automatically, and that is good. So let's proceed. Now if I click on this delete button, press is being printed, and but actually I want to delete all these things over here. So simply over here only I'll create the shared preferences. Let's see if this can be async. Yes, so this can be async. So let's get my shared preferences variable over there. Okay, or in other ways, words create a preference, and then to this I wanna set string, that is task, and the value is json dot encode and empty list. That means all the things are removed, nothing is inside this list. And after that simply I'll call get task method. Okay, I think it is get tasks. So yeah, so it is get tasks. So now let's format this and save this, and let's see if this works or not. So I get 4 tasks. Now if I click on this delete button, everything should be gone. And yep, it is working, means I can clear all the tasks at once, or marked them done as once. You can call it whatever you like. Now let's try adding something. So some new task, and let's click on it. Okay, so here is a problem that when we save it, it is being saved in the shared preferences, but it is not being displayed on the screen. So again we need to call this get tasks after saving each task. So save task, and then I'll simply call this. Let's save. Let's do a full restart. Now let's see. Once the restart is done, we have some new task over here. Yet another new task. Okay, so another change to smoother, no issues. So if now I click on add, I am able to see the new task. Okay, so now I can do it like this, or I can simply click delete. Both ways work, and by this we complete our simple daily task manager application. Thank you.